Good morning everyone, good morning. It's Tuesday morning and we are live in London with Jamie.
Good morning everyone.
Morning. And I'll explain to those who don't know you, of which there can't be many, who you are in a second, but I want to say welcome to our Facebook Live. I think it's the first river cruise specific one that we've done since we started, and I'm going to stop banging the table because I'm realising the camera's moving. I think it's the first river specific one we've done, so that's exciting because it is ahead of our River Cruise Conference this year, which is coming up in November on the 10th and 11th. There's still a couple of places left if you'd like to join us, so head off to cruiseexperts.org if you'd like to join us for that. Now, one thing that we do need from you this morning is some questions. So if you've got questions for Jamie about River Cruise in general or about AmaWaterways specifically, then all you need to do is put your questions below where this appears in the comments bit, and Toby, who's here, will spot your questions and we can ask Jamie those questions a little bit later on. But Jamie, thank you for joining us.
You're very welcome.
You are, now I've written this down because it's a very long title, which means you must be really important. So you are Sales, Marketing and Digital Director for AmaWaterways.
That's right, yeah.
And how long have you been at Ama?
It will be 3 years next week.
Oh wow.
Actually.
Happy 3 years birthday.
Thank you very much. I'm sure I'll get a carriage clock or something.
And where were you before? So this obviously wasn't your first foray into travel.
No, so before I worked for AmaWaterways, I worked for the Travel Corporation, so looking after a couple of touring brands and a river cruise brand in some of their marketing. Before that, my first foray into cruising was working for a cruise retailer, Monday Cruising, where I worked for 9 years. So that was really where I had my first ocean cruising experience, expedition cruising experience, river cruise experience. So yeah, that kind of set me up pretty well. And
they're very knowledgeable people at Monday, so you must have learnt a lot there, which stood you in good stead for working at Ama.
Definitely, yeah. I think it's interesting kind of working for Ama on the other side of the fence.
Yes.
Being a travel agent, now being on the tour operator side, you know the frustrations from both sides,
yeah.
Plus what is great from both sides as well. So I kind of feel it's a definite help in terms of giving a rounded approach to kind of dealing with our travel agent partners.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And how is River? Because that's new for you to focus just on River. Is that an interesting sector for you?
Yeah, I think it is. I think there's so much innovation. There's some great destinations. It's a very kind of buoyant market. It's growing, which is great, and lots of new people coming into the sector. Yeah. So yeah, it's a very exciting part of cruise to be in.
And AmaWaterways is exciting as well, presumably. So for those who don't know the business, tell us a bit about AmaWaterways.
So AmaWaterways was founded in 2002 by three people, Rudy Schreiner, Christine Cast and Jimmy Murphy. So we're kind of essentially a family-owned business. We started off with one ship. Next year we'll have 24 ships.
Wow!
So we've expanded.
You've grown a bit there.
We have, yeah. We've grown quickly. We're an ambitious company. We're very entrepreneurial. We're very agile, and we've got 3 people involved in the business. Jimmy passed away a few years ago, but Gary, his son, is involved day to day, and they live, breathe, eat, sleep, river cruising.
And Rudy has been a speaker at a couple of our river cruise conferences before, and actually one of our main CLIA conferences. So he has a long history in river cruise. Absolutely. He's worked for a few people within the sector. Yeah. Then back in 2002, he thought, I'll do this for myself. Yeah. So he's a real innovator. He's known as the godfather of river cruise. Yeah. That's not an internal. In a good way. No, that's externally. That's not internal. Okay. We've not been told to say that. But yeah, known as the god. He's a real kind of visionary, and I think in terms of a lot of the things that we've introduced to the market and continue to introduce to the market, we're proving that we like to think leading the way in river cruising. And is he still actively involved? I know his wife is as well, but are they both actively involved in day to day? Absolutely, yeah. They're based over in our head office in Los Angeles, and they're involved in the business day in, day out. So it's an absolutely full-time job and more for them. And quite a cool place for a head office. Very nice place. Do you visit? I am going actually in December. Oh, are you? Yeah, I am, yeah. Lucky devil. Are you sure I can help? I can carry bags and things. And Christine, that you mentioned, she is speaking at this year's River Cruise Conference.
Yeah.
And she's involved in the business, in the sales and marketing side.
She is. So Rudy always says, I build them, she fills them. And so Christine's involved in a lot of the sales side of things, some of the more international business side of things as well. So and so she's actually going to be travelling in Europe pre the River Cruise Convention, which is why we're lucky enough to have her joining us. Which
is fantastic. You also have a ship joining us.
We do. We have the Ama Christina, the highest rated ship as per the Berlitz Guide. So she will be joining us for everyone to have a look around on the, is it the Sunday or the Monday?
On the Monday on the ships, yeah. Well remembered. So before we get into AmaWaterways specifically, you're obviously a river cruise operator, and there's a couple of other river cruise operators that exist who've moved into ocean.
Yeah.
Is that something AmaWaterways is likely to be announcing soon?
I think for us it's important that we focus on what we're really good at. We feel we're really good at river cruising, and I think being focused on one thing comes with some real benefits. Just in terms of that focus from an operations perspective, from a putting itineraries together a perspective, from marketing, from a sales perspective. So no plans.
Okay.
No plans.
But lots of new river ships coming that we'll talk about a bit later on as well. So let's talk about the experience, because one of the challenges with river cruise, I think, from a customer perspective, and maybe for some travel agents, is that the products appear to be quite similar. So what is the AmaWaterways experience?
So I think for us, it's kind of three things really. One is the innovation, particularly of the hardware that we have. So our new ships have 80% twin balconies. The Ama Magna, which is a double width ship, and new double width ship is something different altogether. So that's again a real innovation. We're actually the first river cruise company to introduce bicycles on board, which is kind of now an industry standard.
Absolutely.
We have, do you know, fact of the day, we spend more money on Wi-Fi than we do on fuel.
Really?
We do, because we think it's so important for our guests to have that connectivity based on who our guest is.
That's amazing.
We were the first to introduce beer and wine, lunch and dinner. Again, that's kind of an industry standard. So innovation for us is a key thing. I think next is our kind of active discovery program of shore excursions. So hiking, biking. We also this year introduced fleet-wide wellness hosts on board every one of our ships. So that wellness element is again really, really important.
Yeah, and actually what's some people may not understand is what a wellness host does, but they're literally on board to ensure that those people who want to can participate in classes and things.
Absolutely. So we run 6 to 7 classes a day. They're completely voluntary, and we kind of tailor it depending on the audience. So if we've got a particularly young group, then the yoga that we do will be kind of applicable for that group.
Okay.
On the Danube in the summer, it will be yoga up on deck. For our Christmas markets cruises, it probably won't be. So we tailor that accordingly. So we don't publish our program. It really is kind of bespoke from cruise to cruise.
And it's not compulsory?
Absolutely not compulsory, no. So if you don't want to do that, you want to have a lie-in or you want to have a late riser's breakfast, you absolutely can do.
But I was lucky enough to do an AmaWaterways cruise last year, and actually they're really popular, the classes.
Yeah, definitely. And we do certain things. So champagne yoga, very popular, as you would expect. Band resistance work. And actually it's not just about the exercise side of things, it's also about lecture on healthy eating, mindfulness, wellness, that type of thing. So it's kind of a nice rounded program that we have.
And the thing I liked is that there was the wellness person went for a short run with somebody because they said they wanted to go for a run, which I thought was very flexible and very good of them to... Yeah,
I think we like to give our guests choice, and that kind of personalisation is a real buzzword, but we really want to kind of follow that through, and we like to cut our cloth accordingly depending on what the guests want.
So you mentioned innovation, you mentioned that kind of wellness and more active discovery. What else?
So I think the other thing that's a really big focus for us is our cuisine. Cruising
of course.
Has got to be.
Food is important.
Absolutely. We need to keep ourselves well fueled for the wellness programme. So we're a member of Le Chant de Rossiter, which is a French gastronomic society, which is a kind of like a relais and chateau. It's a by invitation only we source local food, we have local wine on board, we have an alternate dining restaurant called the Chef's Table, which is located at the back of the ship, which has a 7-course tasting menu with paired wines. So that's a bit more experimental, but again, it's the food for us is a big focus. We have over 60 wine cruises a year as well. So we'll have a wine host on board, we do special wine tastings, take people to see local producers, local vineyards as well. So food and wine is a big part of every day.
And wine is presumably more important in places like France, on the French rivers.
Absolutely.
There's lots more visits to chateaus and vineyards and stuff.
Yeah, so Bordeaux, lots of wine to be consumed. Yeah. The same in the south of France in the Rhone. So we'll go to Châteauneuf-du-Pape for example, and on the Rhine, the Danube, the Moselle. You kind of go through a lot of wine countries. So there's always great local produce, and that's important for us because we want to kind of bring the destination onto the ship, where we can. So whether that be with local wine or local speciality dishes, that's important for us, and that's what our guests want as well.
Yeah, and actually what was interesting, again, talk about my river cruise experience, but what I liked is the opportunity to do things like hiking through vineyards, as well as the cycling, as well as the wine tasting. So the choice of stuff to do on a day-to-day basis is important.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, our guests are pretty well travelled, so, we would be doing them a disservice if we only offered one option when you went to Vienna, as an example. So, generally we'll offer up to 4 different shore excursions in every port of call. And we do offer, within that choice of 4, we also offer different paces as well. So a walking tour, we'll have a quick pace, a medium pace and a gentle pace, depending on how people feel on the day. So, it's important to offer that choice. And that also means that we have smaller groups as well. So people feel, that they're getting a bit more of a bespoke cruising experience.
Yeah. And actually the hiking that we did around the vineyard was probably one of my favourite excursions because it was a small group and it was interesting, and it was actually with somebody, the guide with us was the owner of the chateau. So that
fantastic.
Was,
yeah, so you get a real kind of insider's view as to what you're doing.
So when you talked about AmaWaterways, then you talked about some great experiences, but you didn't talk about the hardware. So how important is the actual ship? Because presumably yours aren't old ships because the business hasn't been around very long anyway.
No, so our ships are, we're constantly building new ships. So we introduced 3 new ships this year. We've got a new ship next year. We've got a new ship in 2021.
Right.
2021, yes. So that for us is really important. And obviously, at the end of every season, the ships go into kind of dry dock, as it were, and they're also freshened up. So that new hardware is important because things evolve so quickly, and what is industry standard now 10 years ago wasn't. So twin balconies as an example, our pools that we have on deck, and just keeping everything fresh and up to date because our ships are light, airy and contemporary, and we need to make sure that we're constantly striving to improve the hardware and innovate as well.
Good. Okay, you mentioned guests quite a lot.
Yeah.
There's obviously an image of a typical river cruise guest. So what is the AmaWaterways guest?
Well, the image of the typical river cruise guest is older than ocean cruise. So, it's kind of 65, 70 plus. Our guests, we're looking at an average age of just under 60 years old. Okay. So I've been on board and we've had people in their 40s. We've also had people who are older, but I think age is one of those things that people tend to get caught up with. It is a bit more of a mindset, and because of the wellness program, because of the choice that we have, because of the things like the Wi-Fi and the bikes, we attract a younger guest, or a younger mentality, I would say. So people are more active, and I think that is the thing for us. They want to get off the ships, they want to explore, be that on our included shore excursions or independently. They've got that flexibility to do that. So they want to get out, they want to explore, they like their food and wine. They want to kind of get under the skin of the destinations that we're visiting. It's not about just doing the standard city tour, getting back on the ship for lunch and then wanting to go on to the next place. It's about kind of exploring the destinations that you're in, and we structure our itineraries accordingly. So we will be in port late at night or overnight, and we would encourage our guests to go ashore after dinner and explore, because the beauty of river cruising is you're normally right in the heart of the destination. In Cologne you'll be a 5-minute walk from the cathedral, which also means you're probably a 2-minute walk from a brilliant beer house.
Yes,
so
it is famous for that.
Exactly, so you can enjoy the destinations outside of the standard touring program.
And do you find that guests will repeat, because there's so many European rivers, even if they just stay in Europe, there's so many rivers for them to choose from?
Absolutely, and I think that the standard is it's going to be a Danube or a Rhine as their first river cruising experience, and then people, as they talk to other people that have been on the ships and they kind of get to understand the programs that we offer, and they talk to our cruise managers, they then would say, maybe I'll go to the south of France, or maybe I'll go to the Douro, or maybe I'll go further afield and go to the Mekong. So, it is a real destination-led experience, and I think that does mean that they will start to consider the slightly less obvious rivers to cruise.
Okay. In terms of nationality of your guests, it's a mix.
It is a mix. I suppose it is predominantly North American, but we're owned by an Austrian, a German, and an American Irishman. So actually, our product is very international, and our guests are incredibly well travelled. So we do have Americans, we do have Canadians, but since opening the office in the UK, we've grown the British contingent that are on board. We have Europeans on board, and we have some South Africans, some Asians. So we do have a bit of a mix on board, which is, I think, good. And it's a very international feeling on board.
One thing I find with any river cruise I've been on is just how friendly everybody is. I guess because there's few guests on board, because it's a smaller ship, then actually everyone's very friendly. It doesn't matter where you're from, but it's quite interesting talking to people from different countries, different interests, different hobbies and stuff. Yeah,
I think so, and it's the ships are so intimate. You're going to have a maximum of, I don't know, anywhere between on our European fleet, like 104 and 196 if it's Magna. So you see the same people, and it is a very, very sociable way of travelling, and you get to meet people, and they're like-minded people. So you meet people from different countries, but who have the same mindset, who want to explore, who like the good food, who want to be a bit more active. So you've got lots in common. Therefore, it's an incredibly sociable way, and it's like a small floating hotel. That's kind of the atmosphere that we have on board. Yeah,
I think you're probably right. For those, and very quickly, but for those people who don't know what a day in the life of a river cruise experience is like, maybe you can just tell us, because it always starts with breakfast, which is one of my favourite meals of the day.
Yeah, there's always a great breakfast on board. So if you do want to get up and do your light Pilates on deck, then that is always an option. But then it's breakfast, and there's a huge range of choice, be it buffet breakfast, a la carte, and then after breakfast tends to be the morning excursions. So that could be one of up to 4. You can take the bikes off independently. You can go ashore independently as well. So morning shore excursions for maybe 2-3 hours, bit of time to explore the local town, and then tend to get back on board, have a bit of lunch while we'd cruise to the next destination. If it's scenic cruising, i.e. you're in a beautiful location, you get a chance to go up on deck, have a look at the castles drifting by. If you're on that beautiful stretch of the Rhine, we'd have a bit of commentary, and then we would tend to arrive in our afternoon port of call, where we would generally be late at night or overnight, and then we would have our shore excursion program at that particular destination. Pre-dinner, we'd have a cocktail hour, and then dinner, choice of restaurants, and then after dinner, we have a bit of light entertainment, quality rather than quantity. So for those people that have been on a river cruise ships, there aren't those big show lounges. So we would have in our main lounge a kind of a string quartet, and then a chance to explore the local town or watch a movie. So movies on demand, box sets on demand for those that want to just have a bit of an early night. Yeah, and what's nice actually is the ability to sit up on deck. Certainly in the summer months anyway, as you said, maybe different for the Christmas markets, but which is lovely. The river goes by and you're there with a nice glass of wine. And definitely, and we do in certain destinations such as Budapest, we'll do an illuminations cruise, so you'll get to sail down the Danube, you'll see the lights, and that in itself is a really special experience. So there's where appropriate, we always do those sort of things, which is just a bit of added value and really memorable and special. We keep mentioning Christmas markets because it is a different type of cruise. Yes. So the season is quite short, but it's a great way to see some of these European markets. Definitely. We get quite a lot of repeat business, actually. Those people that have seen the Danube or the Rhine, because they're the two rivers that we mainly focus on for Christmas markets. During the summer, it is a very different experience. But the winter market, the Christmas markets tend to open at the end of November. And, it's a great experience. I went on a Christmas markets cruise. Did you? On my first AmaWaterways cruise, actually. And being a miserable person at heart, someone that doesn't enjoy Christmas until December, I went on this cruise at the end of November, and actually it was fantastic. We decorate the ships, it's all very kind of tastefully done, there's Christmas trees, there's lots of glühwein, possibly that was the reason why I enjoyed it, and some great excursions out to see the different Christmas markets, and you know, it's just the most wonderful time of the year, Andy.
Oh no, please don't start. But actually, Christmas is done very well in those countries and those places, because it's, you know, and you come. Hopefully, you came back with lots of different treats and Christmas decorations,
trinkets, treats, the whole thing, and it's a great way to kind of get into the Christmas spirit.
There we go. We've mentioned Christmas, and it's still October.
Sorry.
We also keep mentioning AmaMagna, which is your ship with the difference in that it's double width.
Yes.
So and we featured it actually on one of our CLIA on Board series. She's amazing.
Yes, she is. So she's kind of Rudy's vision, and most ships, I'm going to get a bit boring and technical now. Most ships are 11 metres wide, and that is because of the locks.
Yeah.
So if the ship's too big to go through the locks, you're not really going to go anywhere. There are certain stretches of certain rivers where the locks are twice as big. Right. So we have built a ship that is twice as wide.
Okay.
So she's got twice the volume, but actually she's only got 20% more guests.
Okay.
So what that means is there is significantly more space on board the ship. So our normal ships of that kind of class would have about 164 guests. AmaMagna has 196 guests.
Okay.
So what that means is rather than having, say, 2 restaurants, we've got 4 restaurants, we've got 5 bars. We've got the largest suite on the river, which is 710 square feet, which is huge for a river ship. Yeah. We have a huge gym and wellness space. And there's just the public areas there's just more space, and she feels very much like a luxury hotel.
She does.
And I think that the interesting thing is that the clientele that we've seen on board, they are a lot of new to river cruise, which is very interesting. And I feel that the AmaMagna really is that stepping stone from maybe non-river cruisers into river cruising, because once they river cruise, they'll realise that it's great to have those 4 restaurants, but actually the traditional fleet of which has the 2 restaurants is perfect as well. But the other interesting thing is there's lots of ocean cruisers who we know would cruise with ultra luxury brands, and they would say, well, I like my choice of restaurants, or I like my big suites. Well, actually AmaMagna overcomes a lot of those barriers, so it really is that stepping stone in, and I think it's good. It's good for us, but it's also good for the industry to attract new people into river cruising.
Presumably because of her size, she's restricted where she can cruise.
So currently she's located on the Danube. For next year, she'll be cruising from Wilshofen in Germany all the way down to Romania. So she's kind of doing a 7-night cruise to Budapest, and then Budapest down to Romania as well. So so that's a nice choice. So there's kind of 7-night or 14-night options on the AmaMagna.
And actually, when you're on board, it doesn't particularly feel like a river ship because of the space. But also, I love the tapas restaurant.
The alfresco. Yeah. It's a really nice option.
It's some lovely options there.
Yeah.
We should talk about the Mekong. We've talked a lot about Europe, but the Mekong is one of your popular rivers.
It is. I think the Mekong, again, it's kind of for that new to river cruise. It's exotic, it's different, and for us, it's a really good stepping stone into river cruising. The itinerary it's just a beautiful part of the world, and there's some really great pre and post cruise options, which means there's lots of opportunities for tailor making, and you get to see Phnom Penh, Ho Chi Minh, Hanoi, Siem Reap for Angkor. It is just a phenomenal experience, and it's a slightly different river cruising experience to Europe because you tend to be moored midstream. But that in itself is a great opportunity to get on board the longboats that take people ashore, and you go past floating markets and you see the life of the destinations.
It's an amazing destination.
Yeah, it really is.
And the ships are smaller, so presumably more intimate, but still the same level of service and dining, etc.
Absolutely. So certainly Amadora, which is our ship on the Mekong, it's the same but different. So we have the twin balconies, but the staterooms themselves are kind of rich woods, and you would know that you are in that part of the world. With regards to the food, we have the Western favourites, but we also have, you know, a lot of local cuisine on board. So, you know, for those guests who want to eat the local Asian food every day, they absolutely can. For those people that don't like spicy food, that can be taken care of. And the Western favourites, Caesar salad, you know, you need those Caesar salad on a cruise.
I'm a bit of a fan of Asian cuisine, I have to say, so I love the food there as well. And the
yeah.
people are wonderful, and the scenery and all of that. We do have some time for questions, so if you haven't yet sent a question in, you've got a couple of seconds just to do it. There is a question, but which I can't read at the moment. But so as I look at that, why don't you tell us what's coming up in 2020, because it's soon upon us.
It is. So we're launching our 2020 program, 2021 program, I beg your pardon, at the beginning of November. So we've got 4 new itineraries. We've got a new Seine itinerary, so that's Paris to Le Havre. And we have a new Dutch Waterways itinerary, which is going kind of throughout the season. Tends to be just tulip times, but we're doing that throughout the season. And we have a Rhone and Saône itinerary as well. And we have more capacity on the Rhone because the Rhone has been incredibly popular, and actually new capacity on the Seine as well. So the Rhone and the Seine for France has been incredibly popular. So there's more capacity there, which is great. And we also have a new Rhine itinerary, so the Rhine and the Alps, and that has a Lake Como add-on in Italy, which is going to be quite extensive. So our pre and post cruise programs are one thing that we feel pretty well, and actually the cruise manager accompanies guests throughout the whole program. So if you do a pre and a post cruise stay, the cruise manager will be there throughout, and the same cruise manager on the ship as well.
Nice. France is becoming more popular, it seems, as a river destination.
It is. I think my feeling is that it's kind of that natural progression, because a lot of new people are coming in and they are doing the Rhine, they are doing the Danube.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, France is beautiful.
Yeah.
And the south of France in particular is my favourite. I've cruised on the Rhone and it's just beautiful. It's so lovely, and there's the vineyards, but there's also great cities, and there's you know, Lyon is a fantastic place to embark or disembark.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Bordeaux and that area. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know why. We've had a question around water levels.
Yes.
So it obviously becomes an issue at certain times of year, or it can become an issue. Have there been any issues this year?
There's been very little by way of issues this year.
Good.
I think, you know, yes, there were issues last year, but actually, interestingly, as we only focus on river, operationally, that's 100% what we're focused on. So we always make sure that guests are given a good choice as to, you know, given good options and given good information as to if there are any issues. But interestingly, our Best of Holland and Belgium itinerary that we're introducing for 2020 is a result of having to change one of our itineraries last year.
Okay.
So if there are any changes, we tend to deal with it pretty well, we would say. And actually, our ships are designed with a shallow draft, which means that, you know, we always have in the back of our mind that there could be potential issues. But, you know,
and it's obviously related to rainfall. But so occasionally you'll need to cancel, or sometimes you can do a different itinerary or use buses and things like that. So there are options.
Yeah, there are options, and occasionally ships will be swapped. Kind of, and we tend to set up our itineraries whereby we'll have the same class ship travelling from point A to point B and point B to point A. So actually they can just swap, and they'll essentially be on the same type of ship in the same stateroom. So, you know, if there are any issues, we can try to mitigate those as best as we can.
I'm conscious of time, so let's quickly talk about 2021, because unbelievably people know what they're going to be doing for their holiday that year, and you go on sale very soon.
Yeah, we do. 1st of November, and the one thing I did forget to mention when I spoke about 2021 was we have another new ship.
Oh, do you?
Name to be confirmed.
Okay.
The other thing that it is on the cards, or has been confirmed, is Egypt.
Wow.
So we will be launching our Egypt program, and we will be sailing from the beginning of 2021.
That's exciting.
But beyond that, I cannot tell you anything.
For goodness sake. Egypt, again, another destination that's coming back, and certainly the Nile is growing in popularity.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's a lot of... Historically, Egypt's been an incredibly popular destination. Obviously, they've had their troubles over the last few years, but, you know, I think once... you know, the capacity starts going in, I think that will drive the demand as well, because it's a phenomenal place.
I've never been.
I have been. I've been to Luxor and Cairo, and I mean, it's crazy, but it's amazing.
Amazing, yeah. One day. Hang on, we've had another question in. There we go. Thank you very much. Whoever sent that in. A question about plastics on board.
Yeah.
Obviously a big topic for cruise industry, but also for the travel industry and the wider world. So much work being done by AMA.
Yeah. I mean, certainly on AMA Magna, we've eradicated plastic bottles, and we're making sure that we do everything correctly. So there's lots of kind of trialling as to what we can do in different ports to make sure that we're mitigating the amount of kind of single-use plastic. Straws are a kind of a thing of the past. So for us, it's something that we are looking at and making sure that, you know, we're if we make announcements about sustainability or, you know, single-use plastics, that, you know, we're absolutely nailing it and making sure that we are doing what we need to be doing. So it's an ongoing challenge for the industry.
Sure. Yeah, good to hear that some work's being done. And actually, there's a sustainability session within our conference in Amsterdam next month. So if you are joining us in Amsterdam for our River Cruise conference, then you'll get some updates then as well. In the meantime, though, thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Good luck with everything, and we look forward to seeing you in Amsterdam and hopefully you too. We will be back with another Facebook Live very soon, but from me and Jamie, see you later. Have a good day. Thank you very much.